Kitchen sound is too much. Kitchen sound is too much. Purport. 1 minute, 1 minute. भावना माता जी आप पढ़ सकते हैं? हरे कृष्णा
प्रभु जी।
हाँ पढ़िए माँ।
Translation, प्रभु जी।
Purport.
Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Here, Lord Krishna argues that if there is a supreme controller, he must depend on a performer of activity to reciprocate with, and must therefore also be subject to the laws of karma, being obliged to award happiness and distress to conditioned souls according to the laws of good and evil.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, we are on shloka number 13 and she read the 13th purport only. Yeah, I also saw the difference here. Mataji, sorry. Mataji? Bhavana Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
We showed wrongly 14th. You have to read 13th.
Okay, yes. Hare Krishna. Lord Krishna minimized the importance of the demigods by speaking the philosophy known as Karmavad or Karma Mimamsa, which basically is atheism with a belief in reincarnation. According to this philosophy, there are subtle laws of nature that reward or punish us according to how we act. As you sow, so shall you reap. In a future life, one reaps the fruit of his present work, and this is the sum and substance of reality. Lord Krishna, being God himself, could hardly be a serious proponent of this mediocre philosophy. In the role of a young boy, he was simply teasing his pure devotees by preaching it. Srila Jiva Goswami points out that Lord Krishna was thinking, why are these eternal associates of mine appearing as my father and other relatives and friends so caught up in this worship of Indra? Thus, although the Lord's main purpose was to take away the false pride of Indra, he also wanted to remind his eternal devotees that they need not divert their attention to other so-called gods, since in fact his devotees were already living with the supreme absolute truth, the Almighty Lord himself. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So we can understand here Krishna is putting it so precisely, especially Jiva Goswami makes it much more clear to us. As we see the translation, Lord Krishna said, it is by the force of karma that a living entity takes birth, which you know that. What is the English equivalent? Conditioned souls. What is that? Conditioned souls. And it is by karma alone he meets his own destruction. So that means what? Anything happens to him is purely on his karma. But nowadays people, what do they say? Oh, I have gone to the temple 10 days regularly doing all these things. Why am I suffering? Right? So their intention is very clear. If they do any type of bhakti, they should not suffer. But according to scriptures, even if you do pure devotional service, one is put to all in conditions. But those who are in the pure devotional service, the conditions which created will not affect them. But for a common man or who has got less pure devotion, a small condition itself looks like a big. That's why Kunti Maharani तो इतना एकदम शुद्ध भक्ति करती है, मगर उनको इतना दुख आने के बाद भी वो बोलती है और दुख दे दो, मतलब वहां सहनताशील हो गया, खुद आदत पड़ गया, जितना भी आने दो. But for us, we are yet to reach that level, so even a slightest problem we cannot do that. There are so n number of reasons. One sinus, no class. One headache, no class. So all these things come all and off, on and off. So one has to understand what is what. So this is a very difficult situation. I tell you, we are all human beings. We are yet to reach that level. It's as so not that. See, Kunti Maharani is something very special. Otherwise, all the acharyas would glorify her so much. Because if you look at Srimati Kunti Maharani, generally sannyasi should not talk about women. Clear? But here, the sannyasis take the instructions of a woman. She is not a woman. She is of the top class devotee. That's it. So here, as we see here, what does it say? His happiness, distress, fear, and sense of security all arise of his own effects. Karma. Very wonderful. एक भक्त है, उसको दुख आएगा तो क्या करता है वो? रोता है, डरता है, हाँ? हिम्मत ज्यादा है सामना करने के लिए. Those who are not in the bhakti, those who are hamesha under the influence of Maya, even slightest suffering comes, what do they say? Bhayabhit. Bhayabhit like that. I'll tell you, certain persons, they undergo the psychological problems. No? Have you come across such persons? Right? When they are under terrible stress, whatever you call it as, it's a psychological problem for them. Even without reason, they'll be afraid of it. It's all what is written here. Distress, stress comes out of distress, or distress comes out of distress, which is right. Distress is late because one letter is added. That's the reason. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's true. Okay. So what we have to understand here is this is the situation. But a devotee, unflinching faith, and Prabhupada says unalloyed devotee. So a problem of a huge size is nothing like a dot. But for us, a small dot. That's why it is written here, fear and sense of insecurity. All this. Okay, I'll tell you, after a certain age, all of us, let us listen carefully. Because when you certain age you cross, no, you will feel some sort of insecurity. People will be around you, but still the sense of insecurity will always be there. What is the reason? What is the reason? क्यों ऐसे होता है? भयभीत ज्यादा होता है क्यों? Death is secondary. Death is a reason, no doubt. Huh? Okay, then. What else? Economic problems. Okay. Yeah, it's also one among them. But primarily, what is that? No. See, I'll tell you. Primarily, what is the reason? Huh? Okay, that's also happening. That's also old age then. But primary reason is what? Faith on the Shastra is, you can say it, faith on Krishna. I'll tell you. Why I'm telling you, we have been experiencing it so many times. But of late, we are going to one Vridhashrama. Hare Krishna. सबको जानता है ना, इंग्लिश थोड़ा बात करेंगे तो परवाह नहीं ना आपको. It's okay, all of you English little more. See, why I'm telling, हम लोग जैसे ही जाते एक वृद्धाश्रम में, कोई क्लास में नहीं आएगा. गीता क्या करेगी, उसका कमरे में जाके उससे बात करेगी. वो बोलेगी मेरे को भयभीत लगता है. उनको पूछेगा तो बेटा तो यूएस में, बेटी तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, यहाँ कौन आपको संभालने वाला है? आजू बाजू में कोई नहीं है. राइट? क्या हो जाता है? लोनलीनेस. राइट? मगर उसको हटाने के लिए वो लोग क्या करता है? जब तक वो टीवी देखते हैं, they are able to divert for a short while. Then after that क्या हो गया? ये सीरियल तो बोलने का आवश्यकता नहीं है, और भी डाल देगा. मगर उसी समय उनको सिर्फ हरिनाम लेते हो तो क्या हो जाता है? That's the real सुरक्षा. But when we always say that, don't try to understand, no? Prabhupada always says, no, he went and told one lady, chant, chant, and what did she say? Same situation we are facing there. Certain are like that. And we kept on requesting, please, you are in a situation, we are here to support you because we come once in a week only, we can do only this much. But try to. Then what Gita used to say, there is one supervisor, caretaker or something like that. So she always tells them, each and everyone, you go and tell them to chant. That's the only medicine you can give. But certain devotees, you will not believe it. When they chant, they come and say, Prabhu, I had so much of mental failure because each and everything looks a failure for me. Then what does she say? After chanting sometime, I feel something comfortable. So the reason is here, why we are talking the topic is, it's all due to the karma effect. One cannot escape the karma. Okay. So moving on to the purport, Lord Krishna minimized the importance of devatas by speaking philosophical things known as karmavada and mimamsa, which is basically atheism with a belief in reincarnation. Right? क्या लिखा है? Atheism. No, I felt it very hard. No, I mistaken they are doing something in the kitchen. Okay. Hare Krishna, coming back to this sloka again. So according to this philosophy, there are subtle laws of nature that reward or punish us according to our acts. So again, it talks about the karma mimamsa. These are a type of atheism. Why it is called atheism? It's very simple. They don't believe in Krishna because they believe only karma. But karma is only a portion of it, right? And the karma can be handled very well. We have read so many Acharya's instruction. Now, as that the simplest of all is chanting the Mahamantra. So, that sort of a karma is no doubt it's binding us, but one can get out of this by taking the names of the Lord. Then further, it says, in a future life, one reaps the fruits of his present act, and this is some and substance of the reality of Krishna. Being God himself could hardly be a serious proponent of this mediocre philosophy. ये सिद्धांत का क्या बोलते हैं? मध्यम. इसलिए क्या आगे क्या लिखा है? It's called as atheism. The atheism, the next word mediocre, because they don't bring Krishna into the picture or the Lord. So they talk externally and they talk only about the philosophical things, but they miss out the Supreme Lord. Right? So we talk about philosophical things, but what do we do every time? We bring Krishna into the center. So this is a very important aspect then. In the role of a young boy, he is simply teaching his pure devotees by preaching it. So what does he do now? He preaches, but how he does it in a teaching. Okay. So moving on to the next one. Srila Jiva Goswami points out that Lord Krishna was thinking, why are these eternal associates of mine appearing as my father, everybody, so caught up in this worthy of worship of Indra? So can you imagine that it says father and others, they are all connected to Krishna. But how come they are connected to Indra? He could not, right? He could not understand or what? The Lord was thinking. Why he is thinking? Tell me. Ah, since they are always eternal servitor, they cannot do this. But again, why it is done? Teachers. Who said Leela? Because through Leela, it is imparted to us. The knowledge is imparted. Not be blindfolded. This is very important. Clear? So his devotees were already living with the absolute truth, the Lord Himself. Okay. See, one thing I tell you, when the Lord comes down, He always brings down so much of His team, right? So all these devotees, Hare Krishna, our mind is not here. Shh. Okay. धर्म पत्नी को पढ़ने के लिए Hare Krishna. So in this verse, if you look at it, there are two things. Two lines. No, she has reached that, no? Not yet. Visare attempt. She has read it? Okay. Read it. She is keeping very. नहीं, अभी देखिए उससे कैसे बात करती है. कौन बोला गुस्सा? कौन बोला गुस्सा? हाथ उठाओ. अच्छा, शादी होने के पहले बोलते हैं यार. हाँ 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 हाँ, उसका टर्न आ जाता है अभी. अरे कृष्णा. ओके, कंटिन्यू. Hare Krishna. See, in this verse, two important things are. One is the performer, another is the bestower. Right? Performer is who? Right? Bestower. But in between, who is Indra? Is not. So this is what he is trying to put it here. So if you look at it, it's a very wonderful purport. So though it is long, we can understand stage by stage. Let us get into the translation first. Even if there is some supreme controller who awards all others the results of their activities, who is that? Bestower. Okay. He must also depend on a performer. Performer कौन है? जो करने वाला है. That's very important. After all, there is no question of being a bestower of fruitive activities unless fruitive activities above have actually been performed. क्योंकि कार्य तो करना है, फिर उसका फल तो भोग सकते हैं. भोगते हुए कोई देने वाला है. So this is the basic thing. So when you get into the purport, it's also explained. Here Krishna argues that if there is a supreme controller, he must depend on the performer. See, हमारा नीचे कोई भी नहीं है, राइट? हम किसको कर सकते हैं? ये तो होना ही चाहिए उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए, राइट? ऑफिस में बोलेगा यू आर द बॉस, यू आर द सर्वेंट, एवरीथिंग. कभी कभी ऐसे ऑफिस होता है ना, मालूम है? हंसने की बात नहीं है. दैट्स अ गुड एग्जांपल हियर. इट्स ओनली वन. He has to run the show. He is the boss, he is the servant, he is the everything. Correct? So is it working? It's not working. Unless he has got some two subordinates, then the effect is not there. So then two are there. That performer is the one who are performing. Bestower is the one who is bestowing. Clear? So the superficial argument neglects the obvious point that the law of nature that prescribes good and bad results and pious and impious are themselves creation of good, all good. The Lord has got no picture into that good and bad. This is what it is explained in the next paragraph. हरे कृष्णा, थोड़ा फिलोसॉफिकल देखिए. सेकंड लाइन में क्या बताते, सेकंड पैराग्राफ में, the Lord is nowhere connected to good and bad, right? All that what we do is what we reap. It's very simple. That's why he is explaining why karma mimamsa is explained here, because of the reason. So if you sow, you cannot get apple. Very simple. What did he say? Like that it is. So this is what is explained here. So being the creator and sustainer of the laws, the Lord is not subject to them. समझ में था ना? उसको बंद नहीं कर सकते. So one should understand he is not going to be bound. So whenever he comes also, same logic. Same logic. When he comes here and performs it, he is above all this. Naturally, the laws will not bind him. Because the laws are created by him. That's why Prabhupada give a good example. A king enter into the prison, right? He is not a. So this is the law of nature. Then furthermore, the Lord is not dependent on the work of the conditions. So, वो करे ना करे, bindas Bhagwan, right? He is always self-sufficient on everything. So he is called as Atma Rama. That's the reason. I'll tell you one good example. We have got deities at home, right? Sometimes we go out and forgot to feed the Lord. It happens for everybody, right? But we eat outside, right? हो गया गोविंदास बोल दिया गोविंदास का अलावा दूसरा नाम नहीं है बहुत है ब्रो so I'll tell you this is a good example. Though we have not fed, the Lord never complains. That means he is fasting? No. That's the reason we have the tendency to forget the Lord. Clear? If the real relation is started and if the real relation is established, ये tie up जो ज़्यादा strong हो गया तो कभी भी सोचेगा नहीं कोई बुलाएगा तो चलो जाएंगे कुछ रेस्टोरेंट क्या बोलेगा घर पे लाला है घर पे मूर्ति है. So this is what the devotion. But for a common man, that's why it is here, he does not look for anything. लेना देना कुछ भी नहीं उनको. Because he possesses everything. And he gives it to us to enjoy. But unfortunately, we think we are the owners. That is the problem. Then moving on to the next sentence, I'll tell you, that which we will call destiny. क्या आगे बोलता है? Destiny. So destiny, the Lord never interferes. That's a sloka in the Bhagavad Gita. Anybody can remember? I never interfere in the law of nature and the karma's results. In the 3rd chapter. Vartante Manushaha Partha Sarvasha. So what does he say? Each and every karma you are performing it. The result आपको आ जाता है. फल का बीच में मैं हाथ नहीं डालता. मगर हम लोग दूसरों को बुरा बोलते हैं. So इसमें आगे भी एक सिद्धांत प्राप्त होता है. अगर उन्होंने हाथ डालेगा तो क्या हो जाएगा? बताओ. It will become a haywire, right? Because he has created somebody to handle the situation, right? But at the same time, he says, I come to the rescue. That's what he says. How he rescues. Brahma's prayers always we say that. What is that? Tate anukampa. So the devotee considers it as a mercy of the Lord. And a common man, sometimes he feels it, oh, it has to come and hit my neck or remove my head. Fortunately, it escaped. Clear? So they are able to understand. But the Lord is always taking care of us somehow or other. For a devotee, he gives them the full protection. But how he gives it? Because based on their faith. Clear? So one can understand easily. The next line. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has so dexterously formulated and applied the laws of material nature. That means, who has created the law of nature? The Lord has created, right? And governing punishment and reward for human behavior, that the living entity is discouraged from sin, encouraged towards goodness. So उन्होंने आगे क्या कहता है? अंदर बैठ के हमको सलाह देता है. कैसे सलाह देता है? Good, bad. इतना ही करेगा. He will not stop you from doing it. So that you get the independence to do things. But that independence is not handled. Rather, we can call it as mishandled. So that this is what repeatedly we have to understand. And further, if you go to the last paragraph, that's also the essence of the entire sloka. In contrast to the material nature, the Lord exhibits his essential nature in the spiritual world. So what does he do now? In the material world, he never do anything. But in the spiritual world, he does everything. Exhibits. He put up a big show of everything there. That's why here who are suffering, they have to undergo the law of nature. Just see, when we cross this material nature, automatically we come under a different line. So whatever is expressed, whatever is exhibited, it is a reciprocal. Clear? Then what does he say? Such a loving affairs are based on completely mutual freedom of the Lord and his devotees. Understood? So mutual freedom. So यहाँ भक्त क्या करता है? भगवान की इच्छा को पूर्ति करता है. हरे कृष्णा, दिस फिलॉसफी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. भक्त क्या करता है? भगवान को इच्छा को पूर्ति करता है. फिर भगवान क्या करता है? भक्त का इच्छा को पूर्ति करता है. One good example. Just now we talked about whom? Bhagavan Icha? No, Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada, what did he say? If he desires so, right or not? He put everything the Lord's desires. And what the Lord did, whatever he has to perform it, he did it for him. Correct or not? Imagine at his age going and speaking with the accent of Indian nature to attract them. That's why he says, no, if you look at that 3 or 4 sentences, it's very clear. Prabhupada, how much intelligence he applies there. He says, whatever I have to perform, you decide it. So if you desire so, take me there, first one. Then what does he say? If you desire so, whatever I explain, let them understand, get attracted. Then the third one, if you desire so, let them have the attraction for you. See, he is carrying the devotee so much because the individuals cannot have attraction all of a sudden unless the Lord sits in them, makes them understand. So can you force somebody to become a devotee? Impossible. But when you approach the Lord, when the Lord comes and helps you, it happens. So the reciprocal comes very easily, Golokadam, because the devotee wishes to fulfill the Lord's desire, and the Lord is always willing to fulfill the desire. It is a mutual. That's why the word is given mutual. Have you got the word there? It's mutual. Okay, moving on to that. His devotees, not on mechanical reciprocation. This is the word. The reciprocation is not mechanical. In the material world, how it is reciprocation? Same quality, same quantity. That also require, right? You all got it. See, I'll tell you, purport is always nectarian, but you have to sit with the devotee. Then only you can. See, certain words are very important in this. So it's not mechanical. That's why we suffer so many things. Frustration, whatnot. The lots of words are there, right? All this, this everything. One after another, it comes. Right? So moving on to that. See, I'll tell you, honestly speaking, this purports we are churning only once. What do? Purport we are churning only once. But the Bhagavata Charcha forum says churn it multiple times. That means you will get n number of realizations. So when I discussed it, then what is understanding now? What did you learn? Sugato. What did you learn from this now? It's not a mechanical one, it says. What is the lesson in this? All of you, tell each and everyone. It is written here. It's not of a pure, it's not a mechanical reciprocation. That is between the Lord and his devotees. The reciprocal is not on a mechanical way. Pure law. Okay. I have to do say that itself is wrong. I want to do it. So similarly in the material world, what you have to do? Oh. Okay. Okay. Unconditional. Okay. So coming to the material world, it's a material reciprocation, I said. What is the lesson you now got it in this? Huh? No, in the material world, I am talking. Hmm. Okay. So, for instance, when we do it in the material world, I tell you, our expectation should not be there. First lesson is this. For instance, if you go and help somebody, or if you give something to someone, this sort of a mechanical reciprocation, with that mind, if it goes, then I told you the so and so, what is that? Disappointment, frustration. Yeah. So, this is a lesson in the material world. We should not have any type of expectation. That's a lesson behind it. Okay. So, again, the other point is here is when the Lord, we do it for Him, it's very simple. It is purely for His desire, not for our desire. But in the material world, oh, I have to get something from him. I will go and give. Clear? When it is not reciprocate, the problem comes. Clear? So the final sentence is very important here. That's it. See, the expectation only pulls you down, right or not? See, what is the, okay, again, I'll ask you one more question connected to that. What is the thing which you develop by doing so? Expectation is not there, means what is that you develop in that? Okay. No, try to understand. I'll put the question again. See, it is not a mechanical one in the spiritual world. But in the material world, everything is a mechanical reciprocation, right? So we got a lesson we should not expect. So by developing no expectation, what is that quality bring in? Huh? Detached. Clear? Then what she said is keep center in the Krishna. Automatically, with our own relatives, whatever we do, we think of the Lord and do it. Automatically, with our relatives also, our expectations will not be there. Once the expectation is not there, detachment comes. I'll tell you very simple. Before coming into ISKCON or coming into Krishna consciousness, we all have all these qualities, expecting from each and everyone, right? As we learn again and again, many times we fail. That's another story. But at least after some years, the maturity comes. Paripakva. Kya bolte hain? Paripakva. That's why it's not a title, oh, I am a senior devotee. It should reflect on your behavior and mentality. Clear? Am I right or not? परिपक्व नहीं है तो जितना भी सीनियर बोलेगा तो that much. Okay, so this is clear. Now we'll move on to the 15th sloka. There the problem is you are attached to things, my dear. See, that's a different plane, Mate. That's a different plane. That's a different situation. Here, what we are discussing, karma and karma mimamsa. So this is law of nature, what we are discussing now. We are talking about the material nature and we are in the material world. How to develop detachment, right? The word starts with detachment. How once you start doing it, this detachment starts coming, attachment towards the Lord automatically comes. It's a simultaneous. Prabhupada always explains it is simultaneous. Even Bhagavatam also explains everywhere the same thing. The more you slowly develop the detachment, the slowly the attachment towards the Lord comes in. Clear? No. Hare Krishna, let's move on to the sloka now. No, say, I'll tell you. Have you understood the philosophy? This is my why I took so much of time for this. No, karma mimamsa is law of nature. You have to understand the ultimate cream is not to have expectations. So when the expectations are lost, the detachment comes. Then the detachment comes automatically attached to the. Huh? No, that's why I said no. Initially, see, when we get into the ISKCON, these things happens. Oh, he has not told my name while announcing so many. Right or not? So I tell you, these are all out of experience. Hare Krishna. But once you develop this, no, then the whole lifetime, this will be the thing. As he said, disappointment, frustration, all these things come. The more you detach, the more you go up. The more you attach, the more you go down. It's as simple. Because that's the law of nature. That's what Krishna says, karma and reaction. It's keep doing it. And the Lord never interferes. So you understood these basic things? Okay, let's move on to the 15th. Kimindre neha bhutanam swaswa karmana, karmanu vartinam anishe nan yatha kartum swabhava vihitam nirnam. अच्छा सुगाटो अम्मा पढ़ लो किधर गई
Here, Bhutanam for living entities, Swasa, each their own, Karma of rooting action, Anuvartinam, who are experiencing the consequences, Anishena, Indra, who is incapable, Anyatha, otherwise, Kartu, to make, Swabhava, by their conditioned nature, Vihitam, that which is ordained, Vinam, for men. Translation and translation of Prabhupada. Living beings, Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, living beings in this world are forced to experience the consequences of their particular previous work. Since Lord Indra cannot in any way change the destiny of human beings, which is born of their own nature, why should people worship them? Lord Krishna's argument here is not a negation of free will.
The very first sentence completely clears all the doubts. Yeah. See, that's what I said, no, Hare Krishna. I request all the devotees repeatedly, no, not now. Every time, whenever we take the class, we say that. There's a good example here. He will say, Prabhu, one doubt. I said, just wait. If you have not read the purport, just wait. Two more slokas when you cross it. Because Prabhupada is very intelligent. He knows we are all completely muffs. You know the meaning of it? Muffs. He said, no. So what does he do? He comes in an orderly manner. He never jumps. So everything, he clarifies every now and then. Only thing we need again, patience. So who said? You said that, no? Initially he had the first sentence clarifies things. Okay, go ahead.
Our happiness and distress in this life have already been adjuncted,
Adjudicated.
and fixed according to our previous activities, and not even the demigods can change that.
Oh, see, I'll tell you in this regard. See, we have to understand one important thing. Luckily, I got it in English because Hindi means I can explain. Sometimes I have to search for words. That's the problem. So here, it's as simple as that. When it comes to karma, it says one cannot avoid it. And one has to perform karma. Again, the third chapter comes. In this, lots of reference from third chapter is coming. One can easily understand. See, I'll tell you, on the other day, what is his name? This fellow. Paramanand. He told all of a sudden, Prabhu, take these shlokas tomorrow. He always calls me the previous night only. Not only he, there are so many like that. So I have to prepare it within 1 hour. Sometimes it goes off because my memory is also slowing down. Sometimes I am able to relate it. And the other day he was giving some chapter. Fortunately, I was able to jump into the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, relate so many things. Like that, this chapter, especially, it talks about karma, karma mimamsa. Immediately, one can get into the third chapter. Yes, continue.
They must award us the prosperity or poverty, sickness or health, happiness or distress due us by our previous work. However, we still retain the freedom to select pious or impious mode of activity in this life, and the choice we make will determine our future suffering and
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. See, here I'll tell you. Again, we have to connect here 2-3 things. I will not connect too many things because there are so many references in the Bhagavatam itself for this explanation. So, when we come to that, Prahlad Maharaj is a very good example. And another important thing, basic lesson is why we have taken the human form. Why we are awarded human form. Huh? One at a time, one at a time. हाथ उठा के बोल देना. Huh? Huh? Previously said then. Huh? You're all in a higher level.
Based on our past karma.
Huh?
Based on our past karma.
Past karma. But what is the essence of it? Why the human form is awarded?
Yeah, that was
Huh?
Durlabha.
Okay, all over, right? Everybody has got the answer, you have given it, right? So the answer is here. Only in the human form, knock off all the points. Correct? It is to clear all our karma. What is it? But unfortunately, that's what is explained, no? What here Krishna says, however, we'll still retain the freedom to do pious or impious in this Janma. So, once we get that human form, one should always strive for only one thing. Remove all our karmas. This is well explained by Mukunda Mala. Kulasekar Alvarez very clearly says, I don't want to accumulate neither punya nor papa. So I want to get rid of everything so that I have a clean sheet. Both a clean sheet. So the human form is awarded only for the purpose. Then other things you all talk in the higher level. You said that higher level, worshipping. You also said also. So all these things are in a higher level. But primary thing is to make it clean. Clear? Then only when you do this, you can do that. Am I right or not? So what is important is, let us take up this and let us use our free will according to the scriptures. So what scripture says, do not look for pious activity and results. Do not do impious activity and face the problems. Then what does it say? Karma yoga. Yat karoshi. Right? So do it without any attachment towards that. If suppose you have done so much of pious activity, right? We get so much of wealth or so much of fame. What we should do now? Remove that. Leave it. Don't get attached to all these things. If wealth is coming, use it for the service of the Lord. Fame comes, pass it on to Guru. It's more than dangerous than money. Am I right or not? Fame is more than dangerous money because it pulls you down so easily. Clear? Then coming to the impious activity, we are not going to do because Shastra never says to do that, never allows you. So then you can always talk in the Bhakti Shastri, what are the things? Karma, karma, vikarma. The subject comes again. Clear? So our intention for taking a human form is to remove all these things. Then one can perform the activity for the satisfaction of the Lord. So this is what important. So that the first paragraph is talking about this. Is it clear to all of you? Shall we move on to the next paragraph? That what does it mean after all the mean? You have done so many things and you have undergone them. But will you be able to clear in other yonis? Uh, uh. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the point. Is it clear? That's why Krishna consciousness, what does it say? Very simple. The formula is here. I explained to you so much, but the formula is very here. The moment you get a human form, take up Krishna consciousness. What does it say? What does it say? Keep Krishna in the center. But for a karma yogi, he has to put in so much of efforts not doing things. That's why it says one cannot sit. That's what it says. Negation of free will, but it's not possible. Yeah, wait.
What we know is that before this human birth, we were as cow. That's what I have heard. That's what I'm hearing. So that means after the cow birth, then we took the human form and we accrued all the karmas, and that is.
No, Mataji. In the previous we have accrued it,
Yeah.
so promotion comes slowly.
Yeah, that means
No, the cycle. What does it say? See the photo here now. What does it say? You are coming into the different yonis. Finally, you get the human form. Huh?
so what karma the cow will have, that same karma what now, those.
That's it. Because we tell.
Previous life, previous birth as human.
Yeah.
Animals doesn't have any karma.
No. See, it's not karma. That's why I am trying to explain here. You have to understand. If you look at the one story, many times you might have heard about it also. So Narada had a doubt, right? What is the doubt? To go to the Lord. He says, who is perfect? Right? And he says, go and check in so and so world. There is a small. He talks about the importance of association. Right? In that, what does he say? First, it is a worm. Right? The Narada go and ask, what is the importance of association? That worm starts its mouth opening, then it quits its body. Right? Again, Narada comes, oh, you have not answered me properly. It died. I have done some aparadha, I think so. That's the way he took it. Right? Second time, Krishna says, don't worry. Then Narada is very happy. Okay, I'll go and do that. He goes to next time, Krishna says, go to so and so world, that there is going to be a calf delivered for a cow. So he goes fast and approaches it. And Narada, when he questions what is the importance of association, this time the calf, it's opening its mouth before he could say the same situation. This time Narada is completely worried, very morose. See, every time he is sending me, every time, because of me, one living entity is quitting its body. So I have done something wrong. That's what he goes again, morose to the Lord. And Lord, this time, smilingly, he says, this time I'm going to send you a different place, don't worry. Right? You know the story, many of you, right? So this time, what does he say? Go to so-and-so Rajkumar. That time, Narada asked, okay, worm cannot do anything, and a calf cannot do anything. If it is a Rajkumar, I will be finished. Because there will be securities, right? And then Krishna says, do not worry. This time you are going to get your answer for sure. Then with joy, he goes there. And when he enters, he looks here and there. Everything is safe for him. Right? So as he sees there are so many securities, finally he entered. He then goes into that. And he is asking the newborn Rajkumar. And the Rajkumar, what does he say now? This time, he opens and he starts talking. Then Narada is extremely pleased. Oh, Krishna is always correct. I mistook him. He is sending me like this. So this time, the Rajkumar said, first I was a worm. Because of your association, I promoted to a cow. Then again you came. Because of your association, from calf to human form. After hearing this, Narada is extremely happy and raising all his hands joyfully. Before his joy started, that Rajkumar passed. The next moment, he did not stay back because he is afraid all the securities. He starts running back to Krishna. And Krishna says, what happened? Oh, I got the answer. Clear? That means it's based on the evolution. Right? But in only human form, this is possible. Durlabham manusham. That's why I said karma can be cleared only in human form. In others cannot be done. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's why it's a, they call it as, when you get to the human form, it's a final chance. What do they call it as? It's a final chance. Make it or the other way. That's true. That's true. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I said no, it is a cycle keeps going. No, that's why. What do you say? Janma Mrityu cycle. What do you say that? It's, we are coming under cycle many times, but we do not know all this. That's what Krishna says also. No, you have born so many times, you don't know that. I only. Yeah. So we should. That Hare Krishna. Once again, try to understand. We should degrade ourselves when we get the human form. I said when we get the human form, we are supposed to knock off all this. Huh? You have to come back. Yeah. Here, Neha Bikramana Sosti. Even a little effort will not go waste. That's one. Second thing, what he says, that also applies. Yeah, that's what the Lord says. You'll get another form. See, I'll tell you, this is not a confusing thing, because if you look at the case of Bharat Maharaj, right? He performed it, but he fell down. But Lord did not left him. That's why Apishe Suduracharo. That's what does he say? Even a worst type of sin also, one will lift it up. They will be lifted up. Clear? So he became a Hare Krishna. So that Hare Krishna. I'm going to complete here. Huh? It's a time up also for all of us. So here, the Lord comes to his rescue. How many of you know the story of here? When he became a deer, Bhagavatam says very clearly. What does it say? Who can say this? Where did he live? Where did he move? No. First, where did he live? Then he moved out. Huh? Yeah. He was a king. He was a perfect devotee, right? He took the, what is that, last level of ashrama, right? There he missed out, right? He had to take a deer form, right? When first he, what did he, where did he stay? It's all in the Bhagavatam, no? Where? You have to pay, because the places are mentioned here. Anybody remembers? Which Nadi? What's the name? It says Alakananda. What is it called? So he lives, yeah, the Bharat Maharaj, as a deer, he lives in that, with enjoying with so many deers. All of a sudden he felt, oh, I made a mistake. I should not get attached. Already got a problem. That comes from the Lord. That's why he says. Then he moved from Alakananda to where? Haridwar, Pulasya. What is it called? You have to remember all this in Pulasya. So when he came to Pulasya, he realized it. I have to think of the Lord. When he was meditating, the Lord gave him a special mercy to take another birth. In this, he got through. Clear? Hare Krishna. No, Mataji, this is what I'm telling. No, see, when we talk about it, it's always like that. But all the acharyas are telling very clearly, leave it to the Lord. This is what. See, every time we are holding our own desires, our own wish. That's the problem lies. Correct or not? We have to. We want to check it. We want to test it. It happens or not. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, let us stop here. Hare Krishna. No, one paragraph is left out. It's all. You have read it or not? Second paragraph, you have to read it, right? Yeah. Okay.
And my choice will determine my future life. Thus, although no one can change the karmic results due to him in this life, everyone still retains his free will, by which determines what his future situation will be. Lord Krishna's argument here is quite interesting. However, it neglects the overriding consideration that we are all eternal servants of God and must satisfy Him by all that we do.
The last sentence is very. It neglects the overriding consideration. Your servants. That's why I said no. When you talk about all these things, you know what happened? You have something in your mind at the bottom of it. Oh, if I get a human form, or will I get a good? So these things should not be there. It's a type of expectations. If you look at a Vaishnava, he says even liberation is also a desire. But interestingly, certain Vaishnava philosophy, or recently many of them are propagating, they are talking about mukti. That's not the case. Is it clear? Hare Krishna. It's tough. Undoubtedly, the subject what we discuss is very tough to put it into practice. But we have to. See, I can talk so much on this. There are so many verses in the 11th canto also. It talks about it. What is the purpose of human life? It's at length Krishna is explaining to who? Uddhava. So this is what you have to understand. Hare Krishna. Grantra Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Govardhan Nath ki jai. Say, okay, we'll always chant that one mantra always.
Hare Krishna.
Govardhan. Wait. Who is that voice? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Gadadhar Goswami. Hare Krishna. Who is the Gadadhar Goswami? Any idea? Huh? Who's? Oh, okay, your father. Say the relation directly, my dear. Hare Krishna. Gadadhar Goswami Prabhu. বলিয়ে
হরে কৃষ্ণ প্রভু প্রভু আমি একটা কোশ্চেন করেছিলাম ওখানে এই টেক্সট 8 এ ওখানে ইন্দ্রদেবকে ভগবান বলা হয়েছে কিন্তু আমরা তো জানি ভগবান একম অদ্বিতীয়
one minute I need a translator. I will call your sambandhi.
Okay.
Ask Anila.
Ask a question about,
Okay, let him ask. Yes. Yeah. Can anybody read it?
Eight text refers to Indra as Bhagavan, but we know Bhagavan Ekam Aditya. Please discuss.
See, we have seen it. A few are addressed as Bhagavan, but that does not mean they are Bhagavans. They are addressed, only addressed. The real Bhagavan does not apply on them. Because, yeah, it says very clearly, Bhagavan means Bhagavan, right? All opponents in full. How to decide it again? Prabhu, English bolega to chalega. So the very simple thing is, Hare Krishna, Dhyan Purak suniye. You start that, no? Huh? That's why don't delay it. That's more important. He may be a Lala. You don't do that. I need not. Indra Krishna call them, no? यजमान तो इधर है, उसको बुला लो ना. Let him. आरती करे छे. Correct no भाई है बंगाली. अरे कि साहब, मैं बंगाली सोचे आरती करे छे ना. करो ना आरती करो. Okay, Hare Krishna. I will explain this Prabhu before. Gopi, what is his name? Gadadhar. Gadadhar Prabhu. आपको अभी बताता हूँ. हिंदी में बोलेगा तो चलेगा प्रभु. Gadadhar Prabhu. Hare Krishna. He is not answering. Okay, what I suggest. I will explain. You can pass it on to him. Okay. See, the Bhagavan is not a mere title. One has to really possess all these things. Because Aishwaryasya Samagrasya, it talks. And it says one should possess everything in full. And such a person will never fail. So when we talk about others, they fail. So here it's addressed as Bhagavan, right? Where is it? Can you show that? Somebody can show the screen. 8th verse. What happened? 8th verse.
In the purport, sorry, the word to word. Sri Nanda Uvacha, Sri Nanda Parjanya, the Bhagavan, the great Lord Indra. The shloka.
Bhagavan Indra.
That is told by Nanda.
He is only a Lord. He is not the supreme Lord of God. That's the only thing. Yeah, it can be. It can be. Okay, we have to understand. They possess. I'll tell you. Even for Narada, we say Bhagavan Narada.
Yeah, Brahmana.
Brahma also. But all these addresses, one has to understand based on the position. Based on their position. That thing. But the evidence, Krishna is the supreme and Krishna is the only Bhagavan, that comes from the Aishwaryasya Samagrasya. So if you look at the Indra position, he falters. Right? So we have to understand from his perspective. Whose perspective? Nandama's perspective, he is considered as a Lord. Lord means Bhagavan, but does not apply to him precisely.
He's not having all opulences and all qualities in full.
See, no, I'll tell you, when Prabhupada writes about Brahma, the supreme person in the material world. Have you heard about it? The supreme person. In the material world. Like that, there are so many addresses. So this address is only based on Nanda Baba, and it is always, as you said, related to this purpose. Clear? Hare Krishna. As he said, he is not the supreme Lord, first of all. He is only a Lord. That's what great Lord. It's not addressed as supreme Lord. Yeah. हरे कृष्णा स्पष्ट हो गया आपको
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु हरे कृष्ण
बोलिए
हाँ प्रभु ठीक বুঝেছি
Okay, what did he say? Yeah. Wait. No, wait. He said something. We have to get.
নে না চুপ এখন
Check
ডাকিস
with
না
him whether he has understood.
হ্যালো আসতে পারছি না নেটওয়ার্ক প্রবলেম
কিন্তু আপনার ডাউট ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে আপনার প্রশ্নটা
ভয়েসও ক্লিয়ার আসছে না
ঠিক আছে আপনাকে আমি পরে আপনাকে ওই যেটা ডিসকাস হয়েছে ওটা আপনাকে জানাবো
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে
ওকে
So you explain it. Okay. You clarify it. Okay. Hare Krishna. You have to show that Govardhan. Take them.
Yeah.
ওই চাবিটা কই যে রাখলাম কে জানে
Yeah, alternate.
মা যাচ্ছে না
মা বললো কি রিনা রাস সে যাক তারপরে
হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ গোপিকা তোমাদের মাইক খুলে গেছে কিছু বলতে চাও
आप क्लोज मत आ जाओ
হরে কৃষ্ণ নেটওয়ার্ক একদম প্রবলেম
और नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम अच्छा हमारे से अभी यहाँ पे गोवर्धन लीला का यहाँ पे चर्चा हुआ तो आज हमारे घर गोवर्धन हो रहा है हमारे यहाँ पर परमेश्वर प्रभु ने बहुत सुंदर कथा किया श्रीमद् भागवतम से गोवर्धन लीला के ऊपर तो इसीलिए गीता परमेश्वरी माता जी का था अभिलाषा था कि हम गोवर्धन यहाँ पे बनाए और आरती करें तो विभिन्न तरह के व्यंजन यहाँ पे अभी भोग लग रहा है और आरती होगा ये गीता माता जी
आरती नहीं है
परमेश्वर प्रभु हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा I recorded you.
Hare Krishna. So we are completing the Govardhan Puja with the Aarti, and we'll next meet at 4:30 p.m.
We'll
for the
continue.
second session.
Continue.
Yeah, continue the session.
Yeah. अभी हो गया ना
Please log in only. We'll
प्रभु जय गोविंदा दिखाओ तो कार्टून निकालो हाँ जय गोविंद बोला जय गोविंदा देखो
giving us this great opportunity to have Govardhan Puja.
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan.